When discussing history or fantasy, one topic that always comes up, whether in the conversation at hand or merely in the mind's eye, is swords. From the rudimentary metal sticks that marked the beginning of the Iron Age, all the way up to the dying flames of swordplay that were the precisely engineered sabers used in World War I, there's an incredibly vast number of sword types, each with their own unique purpose. With such a variety of swords at hand, and with so many of these swords becoming increasingly specialized over time, it is difficult to answer the question of which sword is best for a duel. The case can be made for many swords, but in a one-on-one, unarmored duel, rapiers can dominate the competition by using fast movements with a long, stiff blade. In order to understand the advantages of using a rapier, it's important to understand the history and context that the rapier was created in and evolved into. During the 16th century, personal swords started to be developed alongside the traditional swords used by militaries. This was widely due to the Renaissance movement, which sparked an infatuation with self-improvement, an infatuation that many Renaissance men actualized using swordplay. These personal swords were used mostly among common folk and guards, but soon became a symbol of the gentleman, who used it both for self-defense and to settle matters with blood duels. The fighting style of the rapier evolved alongside the rapier itself. Blacksmiths began to use stiffer metals attached to majestic swept hilts. Rapier fighters learned the powerful effects of the thrust, and the rapier maximized this potential. The sword became longer, thinner, and lighter, and it was this evolution that created the powerful dueling sword we know today. Rapiers are known for having a thin and relatively lightweight blade compared to other swords. As fencing.org.uk put it, rapiers were beautifully designed and had an elegant, slender, and light design. While this is balanced out by it being a one-handed sword rather than a two-handed sword, rapiers are still faster than most swords, which can provide a huge advantage. If you can wound your opponent before they can do the same to you, you'll already have scored a massive win over them and may even have won the duel in its entirety. Another advantage of the rapier is its stiff blade. The stiffness of individual rapiers varies from blade to blade, but the average rapier has a stiffer blade, which can provide many benefits. In particular, it can help keep thrust with a sword accurate and precise, which is incredibly important in a one-on-one duel. Thrusting is generally a better move in such a duel than cutting due to the distance between you and the opponent. In order to perform a cut, it is necessary to move closer to the opponent in order to hit them. On the other hand, thrusting utilizes the full potential of your blade's length, letting you stay as far away from your opponent as possible. The rapier excels at this, as it is a long and slender thrusting sword with virtually no edge. This is why the length of a sword is so important, which is where the final key advantage of a rapier lies. Rapiers, in addition to being thin and stiff, are also very long. Once again, this varies from rapier to rapier, but on average, rapiers are 41 inches, which is longer than a standard longsword. Length is the most important aspect of a sword in a duel. A shorter sword can't reach as far as a longer sword and is therefore at a constant disadvantage throughout the fight. In addition, shorter swords are often weaker in the bind, which is when two swords clash together. This means that the long blades of rapiers are more effective against swords shorter than it, which are most. That being said, the rapier does have its disadvantages. While it has many strong suits, it isn't actually physically strong. Like all swords, rapiers are particularly weak against plate armor, and while it is well suited for duels outside of the arena, it does not fare as well in combat. The thin blade that makes it so well suited for thrusting also makes it difficult to parry with, meaning that it can be beaten by more impressive opponents such as claymores in the Zweihander, or even the well-rounded longsword if they traded blow for blow. However, these swords often exchange speed for power, meaning that the speedy rapier still has a good chance of outclassing these bulkier weapons. The rapier was a sword designed for one singular purpose. It is designed to thrust as fast as possible, as precisely as possible, and with enough distance to gain the upper hand. With every inch of its rigid, long, and speedy blade brought to the thinnest point, it's no wonder that it is the best at what it does. Even with the disadvantages such specialization brings, this thin, elegant sword still has the power to take on opponents much more opposing than itself. It might not fare as well in general combat as a longsword or be as well rounded as a saber, but in a one-on-one duel the rapier is the sword for you.